What up? This is Mr. Royce J. of Royce J Media coming at you guys with another live stream. We're going to let a few minutes pass, let some people get into the room before we get into the subject. So before we get started, I'd like to know how everybody's day is going. As always, mine is going great. I can't complain. So, living that retired life. Taking a sip of coffee out my Harley mug and living a dream. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, how y'all doing out there? There's a whole lot of goings on that's going on out there, and we're gonna talk about it. Before I get started, um, just kind of want to talk about what's going on out there um, in the YouTube world. Maybe even talk a little bit about what's going on in the Wakanda sphere of the YouTube algorithm. You know, got all kinds of crazy names for it. You know, so I don't know. The stream is acting funny. I may have to jump out and jump back in. See what's going on. Streaming software is acting goofy. So let me see what's going on. I guess it's all good. I don't know, man. It's Wi-Fi out here in the great state of Florida. Outside of the big major cities like Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, the Wi-Fi is trash, straight up trash. I would not recommend it to anybody. This Wi-Fi be garbage. Well, that being said, we're gonna make it happen. You know. Anyway, the subject of what I want to talk about today, I want to jump in a little bit and into the trans violence. Because with the increased presence of trans women getting into female sports and really interacting in the public, you have increased instances of conflict, be it sports, be it socially. You're having a lot of incidents of conflict situations that often result in outright fights, physical fist fights. And say what you want about trans women, the bulk of them have spent a good part of their lives developing as biological males, and they still have they still have characteristics and attributes um, that point to the influence of testosterone and male strength and bone density and different things like that. And the women who get into conflicts, who get in especially physical conflicts with these trans women, they're catching it, bro. Man, they're catching a straight up beat down. And you see is you see a lot of that in contact sports. You know, and not even just contact sports, but you really see the results of it in contact sports. Um, on the thumbnail, I had Fallon Fox and two other trans MMA or fighters or boxers, and they have been competing against women, and they've been just brutalizing them, you know, beating them up real bad, and you know, in my opinion, is dangerous. I don't care what these trans people, these trans women call themselves or how they look at themselves. The fact is that you know that male power comes out of them when it's time to you know throw joints, and they're beating the mess out of these biological women, and you see it socially in the street fights and different things where they're you know they're beating women, they're beating up women bad, and the funny thing about it is many, if not most men in this country have grown up being taught that there is never a reason to hit a woman. Well, in this day and age, that holds true unless unless you're a male who identifies as a woman, who identifies as female, then you, I guess, get a pass. you know, I guess that's the exception, and we're seeing the results of that. And it scares me because I have daughters, and although my daughters have never and probably would never compete in combat sports, or they don't even get in the they don't like physical fights and stuff. My girls, they don't do that. That's just not them. You know, that being said, I would hate it if they did ever get into a conflict with a trans woman, because you know my girls aren't fighters. They would get beat up, and I would wind up catching a prison sentence because I am going out. I'm going to rectify that situation. You know, male or female, or however you identify. You put your hands on my daughters, it's gonna be some problems. you know, and unlike my daughters, I accept all invitations to violence. When it comes to messing with my girls. So, but this is where it's at right now in society. You have men who decide to don makeup and female clothing. They're able to encroach in traditionally female spaces. Um, you know, and on the thumbnail, I put that girl, that Shanquilla Robinson, on there. Now, I can't confirm 100%, but I guess, you know, her attacker was actually a trans woman. And, if you already don't know, let me give you a little background to that story. A young woman from, I believe, Raleigh, North Carolina. She went to Cabo San Lucas, with some friends of hers on a girls' trip, and I guess it was about 7 of them. They went on this trip, and before a full 24 hours into this trip, this young woman, Shanquilla Robinson, was beaten to death. And there was a video in social media showing the incident that led up to this young woman being beaten to death. and she seemed to be fighting what looked to be a female, but some of the reports are that this was actually a trans woman that beat her to death. According to the autopsy reports, she had the usual injuries, bruises and different things, bruises and contusions, and that would come with a fight, but also she suffered a broken neck, and these were the contributing factors to her death. Now, the investigation into the incident, I'm not going to get into that because, quite frankly, I don't know enough. But I do know that the Federal Bureau of Investigations in the U.S. has gotten involved. And it's probably because this is a U.S. citizen. And, so they're doing their investigation. And as I find out more, I'll put out what I know about it. I'll put out what I learn about it anyway. And, the thing about it is, this young woman was beaten to death, allegedly, by and among friends. That's an issue. And the reports, although I can't confirm them 100%, but the reports was that she was attacked by a transgender woman. Going back to these transgender MMA fighters, one of them being Fallon Fox. Fallon Fox was a Navy vet. I believe Fallon Fox may have been part of U.S. Navy U.S. Navy, special operations section. I think she was. I think that person was in a small boat unit. And if you know anything about small boat units, this is the backup for SEALs. So all the training that U.S. Navy SEALs go through, these particular Navy personnel, they go through just about all of that training as well. So these are not your typical military member who, they just go through the basic training and different things like that. These are some tough people. It's their job to help U.S. SEALs get in and out of places. So these jokers are no joke. There's some tough sailors, and Fallon Fox took that training and conditioning and that mindset, and combined that with his male physicality and attributes and stuff, and took that into MMA and was beating the mess out of his female opponents. To the point to where one of his opponents, Fallon Fox, crushed that woman's skull. So, not saying that it can't happen with male competitors. Believe me, I know probably a little bit better than most of you all, but the likelihood of something like that increases when it's male on female, when it's male physicality versus female physicality. The likelihood of injuries like a crushed skull increased. So, you have this. And even in non-contact sports, like you had the one swimmer that was, ranked, I guess, like 72 in the country, transitioned to a female and was blowing the female competitors out of the water. I've seen instances of where you've had males transition and get into the sport of wrestling, which is a very physical sport. And you know, that you had this one guy, he was demolishing, this one trans woman was demolishing the competition, you know, and I myself, I have an issue with that, you know, how a person chooses to identify. I would say from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a 6, where um, you identify pretty much how you want, and as long as you're not encroaching on the rights of others, as long as you're not um, deceiving others in certain interactions, what you do is your business. The problem comes in, particularly for me, in two instances, and that's combat situations, and the other is situations where sex and romance may occur, because you should be forthcoming. It's essential that you're forthcoming, because not to trick someone into um, a sexual situation or even a romantic situation. A romantic situation is wrong. That's fraud. And to trick someone into a sexual situation, um, you know, that's, to me, that is right, because it's, you can give that person, well, excuse my language, and I know YouTube is going to do what they're going to do, but that becomes a sex crime. Um, so, that's how I see it. We talk about consent, but I guess, again, we're giving a small group of people a an exception to the rules, that they don't have to you know do what's necessary to gain consent. you know so to me, that's a crime. you know I don't know how you all see it, but that's how I see it. Man, you know the funny thing about this trans situation is that you really don't see trans males, blowing out male competition. And I'm sure there are some trans male athletes, but you don't see them blowing out the competition. And I'm pretty sure there are trans males that get into physical conflict situations with biological males. You don't hear or see videos of these trans males demolishing biological males. You don't see it, and uh, I would be hard pressed to find anything like that, with the exception of there's this one Muay Thai fighter, I guess, that transitioned from male to female, and was competing against males, and there was a fight that trans male won, but it was it was barely a win. It was barely a win. I think it was like a 15-round fight. So it's, but you don't, in general, you don't see trans males um, completely demolishing male opponents. You don't see that. So going forward with this push of just of trans life, something has to be done to protect um, women competitors and opponents. Now we have the Violence Against Women's Act in the U.S., but what hasn't been addressed in that is, what if the other party was a male who declared themselves female, that declared themselves a woman, you know, getting into a conflict situation, a physical conflict situation with a female. What then? They're very quiet about that. The media outlets, the academics, the law enforcement agencies, everybody's real quiet about that, and that's problematic. You know, that's problematic because they're afraid to step on some toes. So, you know, but it's got to be addressed. It's the elephant in the room. You know, because like I said, these situations are going to increase. You know, so it's got to be dealt with, and it's not going to be pretty. You know, so I don't know. What do you all think? You know, say something in the, you know, get in the chat and give me your opinions about it. We can talk about it. You know, in fact, if I can get more people into the chat room, you know, maybe I'll open up the lines and we can talk about it. You know, because it's something that's got to be talked about. Awareness has to be brought to the situation because women are going to continue to get hurt. And that's not to say um, I'm a simp and I believe in saving women. Um, you know, quite frankly, I am of the mindset that women co-sign this stuff. A lot of, you know, you have women that fought for it. And so now we have what we have. So, you know, and so yeah, on the one hand, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. But on the second hand, you know, it is something that's got to be talked about, and it's something that you know I want to see the discussion being had at a level outside of YouTube. I want to see it being discussed more in places like Congress, different things like that. I want to see academics address it more. I want to see the matter addressed by people who have bigger voices, you know, because it is what it is. You know, it's not going to stop happening. Right now, it's not going to stop happening. I think it's going to increase. I think it's going to get worse, you know. Um, you know, you just imagine you got a daughter or you know a sister or something, a woman in your family, and she's 5'3", 100, and you know 45 pounds, and she get into it with a 6'5" dude with 4% body fat, and he weighed 220, you know, but you gotta consider him a woman because calls himself Kimmy and he's wearing a skirt and you know uh, uh, a skirt and makeup and stuff like that and is carrying on, you know, is imitating a female. You know, you're that woman, that 5'4", 145 pound woman, she getting to it with this you know 220 pound 6'5", 6'7" guy. Um, it's gonna get demolished. You know, that's like fighting Deontay Wilder. You know, I mean, I'm 5'10" and a half and stuff, and in my best shape, I don't think I would want to necessarily uh, sit up and catch a Deontay Wilder haymaker. You know, I've seen what he put people to sleep. You know, imagine him as a trans woman. Imagine Deontay Wilder as a trans woman with that one punch knockout power that he got. Man, he would hit chicks and turn them into atoms. You know, he would atom smash them, just blast them into oblivion. You know, so this is what we're dealing with, and it's dangerous. You know, like I said, you know, you're dealing with male physicality, male testosterone, you know, male testosterone levels. male bone density, stuff like that. That that person can become a smashing machine. You know, that's rough. You know, I can hear Ice Cube's character for Friday in the background. That's a female. But yeah, he say he a female too. You know, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You know. So it is what it is. It's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, look like ain't too much happening right now. So I'm about to close this out. This is Mr. Royce Media. Like, share, and subscribe. Get in the comment sections and let me know what you think. I'll probably get at you guys a little bit later on today with another live stream, talk about some more stuff. And so it's quite a bit to talk about. I just got to find out what I want to talk about. So, and we'll deal with it from there. Anyway, this is Mr. Royce Media, and I'm out.